the limiting factor? Yes.
So I think the throughput is in just-in-time environment.
I gave a specific difference. Throughput, only material cost is variable, right? So under throughput, our throughput contribution, okay, under throughput, our throughput contribution is equal to sales minus material costs. Only. All other costs, labor and overheads, right? So labor and all overheads convert material into finished goods or semi-finished goods, right? So they are called conversion costs or factory costs, right? Or operating expenses or costs, right? So, and it makes sense, right? Because in a just-in-time environment, the focus is on the inventory. So we are saying that, yes, when it comes to throughput contribution, it's sales minus material cost. Remember this. All other costs are conversion costs because they convert what? Raw material into finished goods. Makes sense. But when it comes to marginal costing, okay, when it comes to marginal costing, when there's a shortage in production, we are saying that for marginal costing, our contribution, right? Our contribution is equal to what? Our sales minus what? Minus all variable costs. Makes sense. Including material, labor, and overheads that are variable. And this is the rule that you use to pass management accounting, right? Because contribution is the most important profit. I told you, the profit that can cover your fixed cost. The name is actually contribution towards fixed cost. But because it is too long, we shorten it to make a contribution, right? I hope that makes sense. So this is the only difference that I want you to have in mind. So the steps in decision-making for throughput and limiting factor under marginal costing, are you getting it? Now, this thing has three ways it can be examined, right? It can be examined as throughput on its own. It can be examined in marginal costing as what we call limiting what? Factor decisions, right? It can also come as part of specific product decisions, okay? So under specific product decision, it can come under what we call make or buy with limiting factor. So make or buy decision under limiting factor. So when there's what? Limited capacity. What does that mean? It means that I'll teach you how to do that when we get to decision making, just as a recap. Listen carefully. A company, okay, is producing product A, okay, product B, and then product what? C. But this company does not have enough, let's say, it does not have enough labor hours, right? It does not have enough labor hours to produce all these three products. Are you listening carefully? Are you guys listening? Because this company does not have enough labor hours to produce these three products, what happens? The company has decided to look at the one that at the expense of all these labor hours, it can still yield the maximum profit. Do you understand? Because that is the one we should produce. So let's see something. Assuming this product had contribution of 5 cedis, right? Are you listening? It had contribution of 5 cedis, but it used 2 labor hours. Are we okay? 2 labor hours. This one made a contribution of 10 cedis. It used, let's say, 4.5 labor hours, right? This one also made a contribution of 15 cedis. It used 3 hours, right? Okay. Now look at something here. Which is the most profitable product? Let's say this guy used 2.5 hours. Which is the most profitable product? Which one has the highest contribution?
C. C.
C has the highest contribution, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we are saying that if you judge it that way, it is not fair. Do you know why it is not fair? Who can tell me why it's not fair? They are not on the same base. Why?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
They didn't use the same labor hours.
Yes, of course. So we cannot say B or C is the one with, yes, contribution wise, yes, but it is not fair. Why? Because this guy used only 2 labor hours. So you are saying A used what? He used 5 CD. He made contribution of 5 CDs for 1 unit, right? For 2 labor hours. We don't want 2 labor hours. We want only 1 hour. So actually, we make these decisions based on what we call the contribution per limiting factor, right? Contribution per limiting factor. That means that for every 1 unit of labor hour, that's the limiting factor, right? Labor hour is short. For every 1 labor hour, how much contribution should you have generated? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So we are saying that, okay, if this 5 CDs is made for product A, then if I divide it into these 2 hours, then I should get what it will cost me for every 1 hour. So if I use only 1 hour, that means I would make what? 2 CD 50 pesos for every labor hour. True or false?
True.
True. Because it's 5 for 2 hours and the 1 hour beer is say 2 CD 50 pesos. Okay. Let's try product B. For product B, how much would the contribution per limiting factor be? The labor hour. Product B will be how much? To be 10 CDs over
10 CDs divided by 2.5.
2.5 labor hours. And that gives us how much? That's 4 CDs. 4 CDs per labor hour. True or false?
True.
4 CDs per labor hour. Okay. Then we come to the product C, right? Which was what? 15 CDs over 3, right? Over 3 hours. And that means we are making 5 CDs per what? Per labor hour. Not so. Okay. So if you look at this, in order of priority, which one should we produce first?
C. We'll product C.
So
B and A.
if we are to rank, that means C will be first, right? B will be second,
Yes,
also. And
Yes, sir.
C will be what? Third. In that order, right? But assuming we have only resources to produce, assuming we had only resources to produce 2 of those products.
But please, it's rather A. Sorry, it's rather A.
Why?
Assuming we had resources to only produce 2 of these products, then which one and which one should we produce?
Product
C and B.
and B.
Product
C
C
and B.
and B, right? That is
C
what
and
we
B.
call, that is what we call the profit maximizing output. Why? Because this is the one that will maximize our profit, right? So we are saying that therefore, if it is make or buy under limiting factor, that means this product should be made, right? Product C and B should be made in the organization, right? But then product A should be outsourced to a supplier. True or false? But then if I'm outsourcing to the supplier, I should also check whether the cost of making this product, right, is less than what the supplier is giving. So if this one is less than the purchase price of the supplier, then I should agree to outsource it to an external supplier. Does that make sense? So the whole thing is that these rules, it comes in 3 different ways in your syllabus. So it means that literally every diet, throughput, limiting factor, or make or buy under limiting conditions may pop up. And this diet, you should be expecting it. No be joke. It will be coming. There have been diets where this same throughput and limiting factor question has come about 4 times in the same paper. Even last diet it came. It keeps popping up. Whether you like it or not, this thing will show up and show up and show up. Last diet, limiting factor came. Almost every diet it is there. You will meet it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
So all I want you to do as a student is to make sure you master this technique. So I'm going to give you a series of steps that you need to use, whether throughput or limiting factor. So I would split the screen and say that, okay, if it comes throughput, okay, because most questions will tell you to use throughput and use marginal costing, okay? So if you are using throughput costing or throughput accounting, and you want to take a decision, and if you are using marginal costing, right? Marginal costing is the normal contribution approach, which we call limiting what? Factor. So under limiting factor is called bottleneck resource under throughput. You know that we talked about this a lot. So now the first step is one, to identify the bottleneck, right? So identify the what? The bottleneck resource. It could be labor, mostly it is hours, right? So identify the bottleneck. Example, it could be machine hours, right? It could be material kilos, right? Material kgs, it could be labor hours, it could be anything. But the first step is always to identify what the bottleneck is, what is in shortage, or what is slowing down the process. The next step is to determine your contribution per unit, right? Okay. Now, this contribution per unit, we just learned that this contribution, it may not be fair to all products because some of them use a lot of materials or hours than the others, right? So we have to bring them to the same base. That is where we focus on this. This is the most important thing. That's the contribution per what? The contribution per limiting what? Factor, or the contribution per bottleneck, right? Because we are under throughput, we need a throughput contribution, right? And how do we find contribution under throughput? Yes, I taught you. How do we find contribution under throughput?
Sales minus material cost.
Thank you. So this one becomes sales minus what? Material. That's it, right? Now, once you find your contribution per bottleneck, which is your contribution per unit, right? All over what? The bottleneck hours or units. Are you getting it? That you, okay. Now, the next thing you need to do is to rank, right? Rank in order of priority. Okay, after ranking the products, the next step is to prepare an optimum production plan, right? An optimum production schedule or plan. Then this optimum production plan is what I was referring to as the what? The profit maximizing output, right? The output that you must produce to maximize your profit. So we can call it the profit maximizing output, right? And then finally, your maximum possible profit. Please, some people's background they are noisy. Maximum possible profit. So this is the complete steps. It doesn't mean that every question will require all the steps, right? Some questions you will be limited. Okay, so remember these steps, 6 steps. I always prefer to work in steps. When it comes to limiting factor, the same step, we must identify what? The limiting what factor, right? The limiting factor of production. It may still be what? The same machine hours. It may be what? Labor hours. It may be kgs of material. It could be anything that is in shortage, right? So some questions call this what? The principal or the key factor analysis. So the next thing is to find your contribution analysis, right? Find your contribution per unit. And how do we calculate contribution under marginal costing? It's sales minus what? All variable costs. True or false?
Variable.
So that's the only difference. Sales minus material cost, but here will be sales minus all variable cost. The next step is to find what? Contribution per what? Contribution per limiting factor, right? That's the contribution per unit of the limiting factor. Then the next step is to what? Rank, right? Step 4, you rank. Step 5, what do we do? Our optimum what? Production schedule. Step 6, our maximum what? Possible profit. Does that make sense? So this is what we are saying. The steps are just the same. They are just the same. It wouldn't change. But Throughput has an alternative, right? And I hope everybody knows the alternative. We learned it last week. But the alternative is using the throughput accounting ratio. You remember we looked at the throughput accounting ratio. So the alternative is 1. After identifying the bottleneck, right? So the question may restrict you. After identifying the bottleneck, the next step is to calculate the throughput accounting ratio for each product, right? Then the third step is to rank in order of priority. Then the fourth step is to what? Prepare your optimum production plan. Then you prepare your maximum profit, right? Okay, so some questions may restrict you. That first, calculate the throughput using the throughput accounting ratio, rank the product and prepare an optimal plan. Or so it's just the same. It doesn't matter. But marginal costing, there's nothing like throughput accounting ratio. What we have under marginal costing is something we call the degree of operating leverage, right? So the degree of operating leverage. And this degree of operating leverage is similar to the throughput accounting ratio. It depends on how you want to look at it, right? It can be looked at in the short term and in the long term. So when we get to CVP, you understand. But for now, just the way the throughput accounting ratio looks like, you can use contribution over fixed costs, right? You can use contribution over fixed costs to represent this. And this one means that if the degree of operating leverage is greater than 1, the product is profitable. And if degree of operating leverage is less than 1, the product is what? Loss making, right? If you have been given 2 or more years, okay? You have been given 2 or more years, we use the change approach. So our degree of operating leverage becomes what? It means that how a percentage change, this one is done in case study, strategic case study, how a percentage change in sales will lead to a greater change in earnings before interest and tax. Okay, so this one is a percentage change in EBIT, earnings before interest and tax, over a percentage change in sales. If EBIT is not given in a question, then you can use how a percentage change in sales will lead to a greater change in contribution. So you can take your contribution, the change in contribution over a percentage change in sales. Okay, I'm giving you all the tricks that the examiner can think about, right? Do you get it? So put this down. When you put it down, we'll now take a question and go step by step by step until we understand every hook and crook that they can bring in this kind of question. Are we okay? Let me look for the diet that they brought about 2 or 3 limiting factor scenarios. But are you writing? I believe you are writing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Now it's November 2023. I think it will be March 2024. I'll download it as we go along. But are we done with the processes? Have you written everything down? Can we take the first question? Can we take the first question?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you written everything down? Okay. So the very first question, let me zoom this up. All right. So we have Pi PLC, which manufactures two products. You can all see my screen, right? Product A and product B. They've given us the cost cards, and they are saying that the total available hours are 48,000. Now listen carefully. And they said we should calculate our optimum production plan and the maximum profit on the assumption that in the short term, only material costs are variable. That means using a throughput accounting approach, right? And also calculate and interpret the throughput accounting ratio. But this same question, I'm going to use one throughput accounting approach, and two, I will use what? The limiting factor approach, right? So that you get the difference. So first of all, using the throughput accounting approach, right? What's the first thing we need to do? We need to identify what? What's the first step?
We identify the bottleneck.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
So let's identify where we had hours. Let's identify the bottleneck hours. Okay. So most of the time, sometimes you have to test. You test material, test labor, test machine hours to see which one is actually slowing down the process, right? So here lies the case. The only thing they gave is that they gave machine hours. They didn't give anything, right? The only thing that was available was machine hours. So literally, machine hours is the limiting factor in the question. But you don't just say machine is the limiting factor. You have to test it. Do you understand? So how do we do that? You compare the hours available, right, to the hours needed for production. What did I say?
Hours available to the hours needed for production.
That is it. So in that case, how do we do that? Yes, sir.
Please, sorry, please, which question am I reading? And is it on the page?
It's on the screen.
Oh, okay, it's not on the page. Okay, sir. Some of us are struggling to see your screen.
It's also on the page. I've shared it with you guys already. So they will share it with you. So identify the bottleneck. So always you are checking whether you have spare hours. If you have spare hours, like excess hours, we call it a slack variable, right? An unused variable. But if you have less hours to use, it means that you have a limiting factor. So let's see. Let's look at the hours available. Machine hours available for production. How many machine hours did they say was available for production? Check the question.
48,000.
Yes. So
48,000 hours.
48,000 hours available. True or false? Yes. But then how much is required for production? Let's see. Required for production. Let's calculate and see. How much do we need for production? We have two products. For product A, it says if you are producing only one unit, how many hours do we need? If you are producing only one unit of product A, how many machine hours do we need for product A?
2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours, right? But are we producing only 2 hours? Are we producing only one unit?
No,
How many are we producing? What's the maximum demand?
20,000.
20,000. Tibako biya 2 hours. For 20,000 units, how many would we have produced?
400. We need 400,000
It means
hours.
that we need 40,000 hours
40,000
to
hours.
produce, right? So for product B, how many hours do we need? We need 1 hour per unit, right? But we are producing what? 10,000 units. True or false?
10,000.
So it means that at the end of the day, we need 50,000, 10,000 what?
10,000.
10,000 hours, not so. Does that make sense
Yes.
to everyone? You
Yes.
see how easy this is. Always you need to test this. So we need 10,000 hours, machine hours, but altogether for all the two products, we need what? We need
50,000.
50,000 hours. Okay, so let's see. I have 48 available, but I need 50. Is there a shortage or there's an excess?
A shortage of 2,000.
Shortage
There's a
of
shortage,
2,000.
right? There's a shortage of 2,000. Are you getting it? So this is a shortage of what? Of 2,000. And this tells us that therefore, we have now confirmed, right? That machine what? Machine hours is the what? Is the
Hours
bottleneck,
is a bottleneck.
right? And some students will just
It's a
look
bottleneck.
and say machine hours is the bottleneck. You will be marked wrong because you didn't prove. You have to prove to us that truly there's a shortage, right? Makes sense. So now we've gotten the clarity that machine hours is the bottleneck resource, right?
Hello.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So please, I want to ask whether the bottleneck is it always in hours?
No,
As in
that's why
machine
look at when you wrote, you could
labor hours.
said identify the bottleneck. It could be machine hours, material kgs, it could be units, it could be anything.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
It could be selling price from competitor.
Do you get it? So now that we have seen this, what's the next step? The next step is to determine what? My contribution, right? And here we need our throughput contribution or our throughput return. So let's find our throughput contribution. Okay. Throughput contribution. Throughput contribution. All right. So throughput contribution, we know that this is what? Sales minus material cost, right? Because material is the only variable cost in throughput accounting. Have it in mind. So depends on how we want to go. I prefer the vertical format. So I have product A here and I have product B here. Okay, that's how I prefer to get my contribution. So in that case, I take my selling price, right? Selling price will be what? 25 for this guy, and then what? 28 for this guy. You can all see. Then I'll less my material cost. True or false? Material cost per unit. And that is what? That is 8. Please PDP
820.
the figures. And then 20.
820. Yes.
Okay. So this now gives us what? The throughput contribution, right? Throughput
Yes.
contribution per unit. And that gives us what?
A is 17 and then B is 8.
That guy is 17 and that guy is 8, right? Okay. Now we have identified this, but which product is profitable? You cannot say this guy or this guy. Do you know why? Because this guy uses 2 hours and this guy uses 1 hour. You get it? So literally, you are saying that it is not fair. Do you all get it? Do you understand
Yes.
why it's not fair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you are using 17 for 2 hours and you are using 8 for 1 hour. So it's literally the 8 which is profitable. Hey, the 17, because if you divide it into 2 hours, you have 8.5 each. No be so. Is it understood?
8.5 and 8.
Yes. So it means that one will
Yes.
be profitable, right? You get it. So always the reason why we spread it according to our bottleneck is to check which one is actually profitable. We just don't calculate it as a procedure, but it makes sense, right? So the next thing I need to do is to calculate what? My contribution per what? Per machine hour. True or false? Per machine hour used. True or false? That is what we call the limiting factor. We know the limiting factor is the machine hour used. So we need contribution for every machine hour used. So you are literally saying that if 17 cedis was equal to 2 hours, then 1 hour will be what? We don't know. It will be less, right? Which means that you end up with what? 17 cedis over 2 hours times 1, right? So that is why we do this. So in simple terms, you are saying that this one will give me what? 8 cedis, 50 pesos
8.5.
per what? Per every machine hour used. That means for every machine hour use, it costs us 8 cedis, 50 pesos. If we earn 8 cedis, 50 pesos contribution. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go to B. So now that we know that we have to divide straightforward, we just take what? 8 cedis and divide by the 1 hour use. And this will still give us what? 8 cedis per machine hour. True or false? I hope that makes sense. So now that we have been able to identify this, the next step is to what? Rank them. True or false? So let's rank. I believe product A was the first in ranking also. And product B was what? The second in ranking. I hope that is clear. Did it make sense? Did it make sense?
Yes.
Yes, please.
All right. So the next thing to do is to now go and then prepare what? Our profit maximizing output, right? Or our optimum
Production plan.
production plan, right? Plenty people have different ways of doing it. I prefer the simple, how I see it as simple. So I first start with the available machine hours, right? And tell myself, okay, how many machine hours do I have available? Total. What's the total available machine hours for the whole period?
48,000.
3.
Okay. We have 48,000.
Okay.
48,000 machine hours available, right? Okay. But then the thing is, when I decide to take my product, rank it, and look at how much I want to use, right? Or how much I want to utilize, then I can know how much will fit into this. So let's see how this will work. So if I take, which product was first in ranking? Think product A.
Product A.
Product
Right?
A.
Okay. And for product A, how many hours are we expecting to use? Remember that we're expecting to use what? 2 hours,
2 hours.
right? We are expecting to use 2 hours by 20,000 units, right?
Yeah.
Can we use
Yes.
all?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
All will give us 40,000 units, right? Can we use all the 40? Yes, we can, right? Out
Yes.
of remaining how much?
8,000.
8.
Okay, so we'll be left with 8,000 hours. And then for product B, which is second in ranking, if we only have 8,000, that means we can only use 8,000. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Literally, you are saying that if we use 1 hour, is for what? 1 unit, right? Then if we use 8,000 hours, how many units can we produce? I guess, yeah, we know that we can produce 20,000 units. True or false? We can
True.
produce all the 20,000 also. But here, can we produce all the 10,000? No. It says we should use 8,000.
No.
But how many units can the 8,000 hours give us? So we just take the 8,000 and divide by 1 hour.
By 1.
Now we
So that means that we can produce what? 8,000
8,000.
out of the 10,000, right? That means we couldn't produce what? The 2,000 left. So
2,000.
if another supplier somewhere says, oh, I can produce it for you, then we have to check whether the supplier's price is good and it can give us a cost saving before we take it up. Do you see how it works? So when it comes make or buy with limiting factor, you still do the same thing, but those extra units, you need to assess whether that supplier's price is better than your cost, and it can give you a saving before you outsource. If not, you don't outsource. You just let it be. Because at the end of the day, who outsource a crowd boca, then why do you do it? I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So what's our profit maximizing output? How much do we have to produce to make profit?
So we are producing 20,000 units of product A.
So for product A, we need to produce 20,000 units, right? To make profits. And for product B, we need to produce only 8,000 units, right?
8,000 units.
Okay, it means that we have been able to manage all the 48,000. True or false?
True.
So out of the 48,000 hours, we use 40,000 to produce A, right? And we use what? 8,000 to produce B. Do you get it? So now that we found our profit maximizing output, we need our contribution, we need our profit. And you know, profit is simply what? Our contribution minus what? Fixed cost. Why? Is it not contribution minus fixed cost?
Fixed cost.
And here lies the case. Do we have our fixed costs? No, we don't have our fixed costs. So let's go and calculate all our fixed costs, right? So calculation of factory costs, right? Calculation of factory costs. I get it. And factory cost includes what? Labor, variable overhead, and fixed costs. So I told you under throughput, all other costs are factory costs, right? So this is what I'll do. I will just put them together. So if I take labor cost, right? If I take labor cost, labor was the next one, right? So product A, labor was what? It was 5 cedis per unit, right?
Price.
But we are producing what? 20,000 units, not so?
20,000.
And that gives us what?
100.
Okay. That gives us 100,000. Okay. For product B, labor cost was 2. We were producing 10,000, right? And that gives us what? But under throughput, labor still maintains what it is, right? It was for 8,000 units. Labor will only work on 8,000, right? So 2,8. When you get to limiting factor, the model will change. 2,8, this around what? 16,000, right?
16,000.
Okay. So labor becomes 116,000. Okay. Then when it comes to what? Variable overhead or other variable costs. Product A will be how much?
That will be 7 by 20.
7 by the 20,000, which is what? 140, right?
Yes.
All right. Then for product B,
It's 2.
2 by
2 times
8,000.
8.
which gives us what? 2,8.
16.
It's still 16,000, right? Okay. Which gives us what? 156,000. That's it. Okay. Now let's go to fixed cost. Now, fixed cost, what would it be? Yes, well, I'll get people. Fixed cost, what would it be?
Fixed cost will be 3 by 20,000.
So 3 by 20, which gives us what? 60,000, right?
60,000. Yes.
And B will be what?
2 by 10,000.
Nice.
Okay,
Why
2
2 by
times
10,000 and not
8,000.
why 2 by 10,000 and not 2 by 8,000? This is where your variable, your cost behavior is coming in. Why did we do 2 by 10,000 but not 2 by 8,000?
Yeah.
Because the cost over here is fixed.
Yes. Fixed costs do not change, right? They are per the budget. And per the budget is that you are producing 10,000. So fixed costs
Yeah, so
were
what
absorbed. Remember, fixed costs were absorbed based on the 10,000. But variable costs would have changed with the number of units you produce. Though they are factory costs, they were still on material. Do you get it? So fixed cost is based on the budget. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everyone?
Sir.
Okay. So this now gives us what? 80,000, right? So what's our total factory cost? What's our total factory cost? Add it up. We have 116,000 plus 156,000 plus 80,000.
352.
352,000. But alternatively, some people state the assumption that they assume all the other costs to be fixed. So they use the 10,000, 2010, 2010 throughout. They will still mark it for you, right? It depends on your assumption. Makes sense. All right. So in that case, now that we have total factory cost, let's go and get our total profit or our total or maximum possible profit we can make, right, from this arrangement. So what's our maximum possible profit? So our maximum possible profit, we know that this is the same as what? Our contribution minus all the factory costs. True or false? So first of all, let's get our total contribution. So your contribution, you can decide to use contribution per unit times the number of units or contribution per machine hour times the number of hours, you get the same thing. So method 1, let's try this. So let's use the contribution per unit to work. So if I take product A, what was the contribution per unit? We had a contribution to be how much? Product A, the contribution we worked.
17.
17, right? Per unit,
Well,
right?
17.
So 17 per unit.
Yeah.
And how many units did we produce per our optimum plan? We produced what? 20,000.
20,000.
Okay. So that means that this one will give us how much contribution? 17 by
That's 340.
1,000.
340,000.
That's 340,000 also. Okay. Then for product B, we made how much? We made contribution of 8
Say
per unit, right? And that gives us what? We are only producing how many units per our schedule for product B?
8,000.
We can only produce and sell 8,000 units, right? Don't go and put 10.
That's 64.
We couldn't produce. That's how much?
64,000.
64. All right. So in that case, 64,000. So if you put it together, this is our total throughput contribution, right? Or throughput rate.
404.
104,000.
404,000. Okay. Then we less what? All our factory costs, right? Okay. So what's our total factory costs? 352,000 also. All right. So what do we get then as our maximum possible profit?
52,000.
52,000, right? All right. So you see the approach. So this is the first method. The same way you see here, we use contribution per unit, right? All right. So what if we decided to use the contribution per machine hour? Will we still get the same figure? Let's try and see. If we decide to use the contribution per machine hour approach, the second way, I just want you to identify everything because some questions may go a specific way, right? So if you are still finding the maximum profit, then product A, what was the contribution per machine hour? It was 8.5 per hour. True or false?
True.
The
Yeah,
contribution per
8.5.
limiting factor, it was 8.5. But how many hours were we using for product A? So go and check your production schedule.
40,000.
We're using 40,000 hours, right? So it's either you're using units or you're using hours. We were using 40,000. So we go and multiply by what? The 40,000. And what do we get? 8.5 by 40,000. That is 300 and what?
340,000.
Is it the same? Then for product
Yes, it's
B,
the same.
we had 8 per machine hour, but we were producing what? We're using only 8,000 hours. It's still what? 64,000. True
64.
or false? Giving us the same 404,000. Then we take out our factory cost or operating expenses, right? Which was worth 352,000. So you see, the same 52,000. So take some few minutes to digest what we have just done. I hope it made sense. Very straightforward, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this thing is worth 20 marks. Okay. Any questions so far? Take your time, understand it. If it is coming to your exam, I believe you should take your time and assimilate, understand. That is how it is. Are we okay? Don't rush. Small, we get there. All right. You know why it is making sense? Because now you understand some of the costing principles. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made sense. Contribution is the key theme. Is that okay? All right. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Or everybody is fine? Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Please. Sir, yes, but please, before you do that, can you scroll up? I want to take a screenshot,
All right. Which one?
if you don't mind.
Which side?
Say,
from
So you can start from the
from
beginning.
where we started. Yes, then we can take a screenshot of the question.
All right. But I hope you are all getting it.
Okay.
I hope we are all getting it. I hope we are all
Yeah,
getting it.
please, you can go up. Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
All right. This one I'm teaching you. That's why the presentation looks like this. In the next question, the presentation will not look like this because you already understand how we got the figures. You get it. So it will be slick. Okay. Shall we proceed?
Boss, please, can you go up again?
Down or up?
Yes. Okay. Yes, please, can you move?
Can I go again?
A minute, sir. Yes, you can go again, sir.
Is that okay? But I should still go.
Yes, it's okay. Let me take one, please. Yes, you can go, please. Please, you can move. Yes, please move.
All right.
Okay. Grateful.
All right. Okay, so now still under throughput accounting, this is what I want us to do. I want us to use the throughput accounting ratio approach, right? So using the throughput accounting ratio approach, how do we get throughput accounting ratio? Those who were here the last time, I told you. See, per this question, let me let you understand. Throughput accounting ratio is simply our throughput contribution. Are you listening? Because you are familiar with contribution,
Yes.
I don't want to use throughput return. This is your throughput contribution per the bottleneck, which per this question is the machine hours. Do you remember? This one, have we not calculated it already? Have we not calculated throughput contribution per machine hour
Yes, we have.
for each product, right?
So
Now,
we've done the
we
we've done the
divide
calculation.
this, yes, we divide this by the factory costs per available machine hours, right? So that it will be machine hour. Makes sense. Now we have this,
Yes.
but we don't have this, right? So if we are getting this, the first thing is what? The throughput return per hour or the throughput contribution per machine hour. We already have it, right? So let's just pick it up. So for product A, this was how much?
8.5.
So for product A, the contribution per machine hour was 8 cedis, 50 pesos, right? And this one was 8 cedis.
Yes, sir.
So we have this already.
Yes, sir.
Now, what we are left with is the factory cost per available machine hours. So in that case, what's our factory cost per hour? Because factory costs are fixed. Listen carefully, some students get confused here. Factory costs are fixed and for the whole period, right? True or false? Fixed costs, are they not for the whole period?
For the whole period, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
But
fixed.
these machine hours we see are not for the whole period. It is this one which is available for the whole period. So group like terms. Since this one is for the whole period, this is also over the whole period. You divide by that. Does that make sense? So this one we use the total available machine hours or the total available bottleneck. Makes sense now. So factory cost per machine hour is going to be what? How much was our total factory cost that we calculated? I believe it was 352,000, right? From our working above. All right. Then we divide this by what? The available hours, which was 48,000 what? Machine hours. True or false?
Yes.
Okay. So what do we get? It's fixed cost, factory cost,
That will be
machine hour.
7.33.
Okay. So we end up with 7.33 per machine hour, right? Okay. So now that we've seen this, if we call this A and call this B, then our throughput accounting ratio, which is what? A over B, will give us what? Let's get for A and let's get for B, right? See how easy this is. So now it means that when you are doing this and you haven't done the first one, you would have still gone through the process of identifying the limiting factor and coming to do this one before you jump to this, right? So it's still the same thing, but here you are using the ratio. So for product A, what's the throughput accounting ratio?
That'll be 1.5.
That will be 8.5 over 7.33, right?
Yes.
Hour per hour. So in actual sense, this cancels hour, CD cancels CD, right? Then this one will give us what?
1.165.
over 7.33, right?
No.
All right. So this will cancel this. So what do we get for this guy?
This one is 1.16.
1.16.
1.16. So is it profitable? Yes, this product is profitable because it's greater than 1, right? What about this guy? Yes, that one too is profitable, right?
1.09.
Okay, 1.09, right? Greater than 1, profitable. But which one is more profitable?
A.
A, right?
Product
Because
A.
it has more contribution, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how easy it is. So far as the ranking has not changed, it means our production plan still stays the same, right? So first and second. Then you go for it to do the same thing. The production plan, maximum profit, still the same, right? I mean, it's not bad, right? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I can take this. Okay.
So now we are going to use the same question and we are going to do limiting factor approach. Okay.
Please, can you go up for me?
Up.
I don't know this.
This is where
Yes. I
the
don't know.
counting ratio starts.
Yes. So I want I don't know where you should go down or up. Okay.
I was here.
Okay, that's fine.
Go down.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
Question, or please. I'm waiting.
So can I ask a question?
Oh, you can always ask your question. Oh, feel free. I'm there for you.
Okay, sir. So with this question, we see that there are some variables that we did not use. For example, other variable costs for A and B.
We did, or we didn't. We did, though.
We did.
So,
We used them.
We use every variable except the profit. We don't need this profit per unit. It's arbitrary. Because under marginal costing, we don't absorb fixed cost. You remember? So this is the only thing we didn't use. This profit.
so what of the other variable costs?
We did, though. See. Variable overhead. 7 by 20,000. 2 by
For the cost.
7 by 20,000. 2
Okay, sir. Okay.
They are variable overheads. I just made the name variable overheads. We used it. We did. Are you
Okay.
fine?
Okay, sir. So we can replace the other variable cost with variable overheads.
No, that's what I called it, but you just maintain the name. Yes, they are actually variable overheads. You know that.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But in exam, if you see other variable costs, just say other variable costs. Okay. Please, are we okay? Did you all get the approach of calculating the throughput accounting ratio? You see, it's a very easy ratio, but if you don't know, you don't know. The whole thing is get your contribution per limiting factor or your contribution per bottleneck, right? And just divide by the factory hours, the factory cost divided by the available hours. Do you get it? That's it. Then that's all. Okay, so using marginal costing approach, right? So now we are going to use marginal costing. So using marginal costing, that means now we are looking at what? Limiting what factor. So I'm just going to follow the same, though we've done some things already, I'll follow the same approach. Okay, so first, let's identify what? The limiting factor. You see, my steps do not change. Identify the limiting factor. So per this question, what we see is that we need to test. The only one we have available was machine hours, right? So let's test machine hour. So this is what I say, testing in my exam. I say testing what? Testing machine hours. Okay, that's what I do. I test machine hours first. So how do I test machine hours? I start with the hours available, right? So machine hours available. How many machine hours was available? 48,000 hours, right? How many machine hours are needed for production? Machine hours needed for production. Yes. Let's calculate it.
2 hours.
Okay. So we have two products. Product A, we needed 2 hours for 1 unit, but we are producing how many units? 20,000.
20,000.
Okay. So if you are doing mathematics, this is what it means. 2 hours divided by 1 unit times 20,000 units, right? You see, so units cancel units, and you are left with 2 by 2, this thing, 40,000, right? With what at the end? Hours at the end. Does that make sense? So you see that unit cancels, then you are left with hours. Can you see? Can you see?
Yes, sir.
And that is what you have been doing. So this multiplication thing has been worrying students. They don't know what to multiply by. But because we are multiplying to get hours. For 1 hour, you are using 2 hours. So for all the 20, you use what? 40,000, right? Okay. Let's go to product B. We are using only 1 hour per unit, but we are producing what? 10,000 units, not so per the budget. So that means that this gives us what? 10,000 hours overall. So this gives us what? 50,000. Okay. So you are expecting, you need what? 50,000 for production, but you only have 48,000. It means that you can't produce all the 50,000 hours, right? There's a shortage. And so far as there's a shortage, that means that is the limiting factor. So therefore, machine hours is the what? The limiting factor. ICA can confuse you. And instead of machine hours, they will tell you to find what? Machine utilization. It's the same as machine hours. It's the hours we utilize. So they can bring a different term, but I hope it makes sense. So now that we have identified the limiting factor, what's the next step? What's the next step? I want the steps to be in your head. What's the next step?
We will determine the
Contribution.
Okay, so we find the contribution per unit, right? Okay. So contribution per unit. And we know that this is marginal costing. So sales minus what? All variable costs.
Variable cost.
Thank you. But under throughput is sales minus what?
Material.
Material cost.
Material, right? Okay. So in that case, we get our selling price. Selling price was 25, 28. Then all variable costs, right? So we take out our variable costs. And variable costs, I think we have materials be 8. And this guy 20. We have labor. Labor is also variable.
5,
And
2,
We have
Other variable cost.
variable cost, 7 and 2, right? Okay.
Mm.
So we put it together and then we come and get our contribution per unit. So you see there's a slight difference between the two. This one will give us what?
A will
Three.
give us 5. A is 5,
You said A is 5.
and then B,
It's 5. Yeah, the
yes,
total. So 5.
And B,
20
and then B
minus
is 4.
25 and 4.
B is 4.
Mm.
But we are not fair, right? Because this 5 is for 2 hours, 2 machine hours, true or false?
That's true.
And this one is for 1 machine hour. So in actual sense, this one is not the most profitable one. Do you guys agree? Because if 4 pay a 1 hour and a 5 pay 2 hours, which one is more profitable?
The one.
The one.
The 2 hours.
Yes. No. Yeah, the one with the 1 hour, this one. Because you are literally saying that let's find our contribution per machine hour. That is what will tell us which one is, because machine hour is what is limited, right? So we have to see which one makes more profit and that more machine hours. So you are saying that for product A, are you getting it? We can get 5 CDs over the 2 hours to see what we'll get for 1 hour, right? And for 1 hour, it means that we get 2 CD 50 pesos per hour. Makes sense. For product B,
Yes, sir.
we get what? 4 CDs over 1 hour, 4 CDs for
1
every
hour.
1 hour, which is still 4 CDs per hour, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we are to rank, which one is highest in ranking?
Product B. Product B.
To rank first is product B, and second is product what? A, right?
A.
Okay, so you've ranked.
Yeah.
Now that you've ranked this one, the next step is to prepare what?
The optimal production plan.
Or what is another name for the optimal production plan? I gave you another name. You have forgotten.
Profit maximizing output.
Thank you. The profit maximizing
Maximum output.
out, right? Keep the term so, because ICA can go out of their way and the normal one, sometimes they can call this the utilization, right? Or the utilization schedule. Or a utilization
Yes,
scheme. You get it? So if you know the terms, you should be fine. All right. Let's start with our available what hours, right? So how many hours did you have? 48,000. Okay. Then we start with what? Our product,
sir.
our rank,
Okay.
then our utilization, right? All right. So in that case, let's see product rank utilization. Which one was first in ranking? Product B, right?
Yes.
Which was first? How many hours are we expected to use? For product B, we expected to use 1 hour to produce how many units? 10,000.
10,000.
Can we produce all the 10,000 units?
Yes.
Yes, we can. So if I take all the 10,000 hours from here, it means how many hours do we have remaining?
38,000.
It means we have
38,000.
38,000 hours remaining, right? So since we have 38,000 hours, it means 38,000 hours is all we can use because there are only 2 products, right? Remaining 0. Do you get it? So if 38,000 for products, we want to see the number of units we can produce, right? So for product A, which was second in ranking, we know that 38,000, all the units we are producing is 20,000 units, right? And that one we are using 40,000. So 38,000 will give us how much? We can simply take this 38,000, right? And divide by the hours that we have, right?
We have
And you end up,
19,000.
it means you have how many units?
19,000.
So it means that we have 19,000 units that we can produce, right? Instead of 20,000. So it means that we have 1,000 units not produced, right? And I told you that this one, if an external supplier comes, we can what? We can
We can
outsource it.
purchase some.
And outsource.
Only when what? The price that the supplier is giving us is less than the cost
Quoting is
of
less.
manufacture.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So have this in mind. So if that is the case, we can only outsource these units when they give us a cost saving per supplier price, right? So now that we've gotten this, what's the next thing? What's the next thing to do? What is the next thing to do?
Maximum production for profit.
Maximum production cost, right? Hey, maximum profit, right? A statement of maximum profit. So maximum profit, we know that this is what? Our contribution minus what?
Fixed cost.
Contribution minus fixed costs. So first of all, let's get our contribution. So our total contribution, right? Now, because you know all the two approaches, I prefer to go with the hours approach, right? So that is straightforward. So in that case, I want my contribution per hour times the number of hours. So for product A, how many, what was the contribution per hour? It was 2.5, right? Per hour. Not
Yes.
so. By how many
Yes.
hours? We could only use 38,000 hours, not so.
Yes.
Our schedule. So 2.5 by 38,000. And that gives us what? 95,000. For product B, it was 4 CDs per machine hour, right? Now, how many hours were we using? 10,000 hours, not so per hour schedule. Everything we pick from the schedule, 10,038, right? So 4 by 10, that is about 40,000 also. So what's our total contribution?
105. Hey, sorry. Okay,
135, right?
135.
Okay, so now we less what? We less all fixed
Fixed cost.
Okay, so for fixed costs, let's see. For product A, fixed cost was what? 3 per unit, but we were producing what per the budget? 20,000.
Sir,
Yes, boss.
sir, please, a bit of taking you back. I'm thinking with the maximum profit schedule, the product A, we are producing 19,000 units instead.
Listen, I said we are using per hour. You can use per unit.
Hour.
Hour.
We are using our approach.
We are using the contribution per hour. So times the number of hours. We are using contribution per hour times the number of hours in your schedule. I told you in the other example where you here, we use two approaches. See, you see here, we did 17 per unit times 20,000 units, 8 per unit times 8,000 units. And here we came to take the contribution per machine hour times the number of machine hours. So per unit times number of units, per hour times number of hours. Always have that in mind. So if you do the per unit, you get the same thing. Let's try and see. Where is the question?
Okay.
What's the contribution per unit? Was it not 5 CDs per unit?
Yes, 5 and 4. Okay. Okay.
So
So
5
I get it.
by the number of units produced under the schedule, it was 19,000, right? So 5 by
Yes, sir.
19,000. Do you still get the same 95,000? You do.
The same thing.
Yes, sir.
4 times 10,000.
Okay, sir.
We are working per hour here. Makes sense. Okay. Listen. So 3 by 20,000. You see, I'm not using 19,000 because fixed costs are fixed per the budget, right? It doesn't change unless they tell you that it's a step cost, which they didn't. You know that. So 3 by 20, that means this is 60,000 also.
60,000, yes.
Product B, the fixed cost will be what?
The fixed cost is 2
CD by 10,000, right? That gives us what?
20,000.
20,000. Okay, so I believe this one will give us what? 80,000 also. Okay, so when we take it out, what gives maximum possible profit?
55,000.
Okay, so our maximum possible profit, possible. That is 55,000.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is it. So we got our maximum possible profit. Some question we said get the profit after tax. So this one, when you get it, it means that this is your operating profit. So all you have to do is tax it at 40% or 30% or 25, whichever they give you, take it out, they get a profit after tax. That's all. So assuming I want maximum profit after tax, right? Ghana, our tax rate is 25%. So I can just take this operating profit and multiply by 1 minus the tax rate. The profit after tax will give me 55,000 times 1 minus 0.25. That gives me the profit after tax. It means that you are taxing, right? So 55,000 times 0.75 because you've taken the tax. It means I'll be left with 41,250. Okay, so these are some of the small tricks that in your questions. Okay, so I believe now you are comfortable with the two approaches. Well, now more into throughput. This is a very hefty question, right? So this is what we are going to look at what is the bottleneck resource slowing down the whole process, right? Happy now limited. Are you guys happy now? Are you comfortable with limiting factor?
Yes.
All right. So let's take a different approach.
Sure.
Throughput, right? This is the last question we are solving.
Sir,
Do you have any question for me?
sir, can I take my pictures? No. Can I
Yes,
take my
sir.
Where do you want to go from the start?
Hello, sir.
Yes, boss.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
But I'll
I
do
can hear you.
PDF and show on the page. Yeah, that's fine.
Somebody said hello, sir. The person didn't talk again.
Okay. I want to find out if I want to find out if it's really a costing system, because when you look at throughput, no cost is allocated to the unit of production with the exception of material cost. So can we consider it in reality as a costing system?
Yeah, throughput is a costing system used in modern manufacturing environment. I've worked with one Indian client. They use throughput. It's because they are into robotics. They make games. Yes, it's a costing system. And the reason why material cost is the only cost considered is that we consider materials in the short term. And the reason is because throughput, we don't keep stock. It's just in time environment. I believe I've explained this to you several times. I mean, some of you were not there, but watch the previous videos. I think we covered just in time, didn't we? Yeah, we did. And we understood how a just in time system works. You get it? So here, the assumption is that, okay, and it is true, it makes sense. Look, labor, what does labor do in production? Don't they work on raw materials to turn them into finished goods? True or false? True.
True.
So in actual sense, labor costs are mostly fixed in the short term. Do you know that? Because they are paid a fixed salary.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the assumption. All other costs are fixed. Rent will be fixed. All other costs are mostly fixed. So the assumption is that all those costs are incurred to convert material.
In a class.
Okay, all those costs are incurred to convert raw materials into finished products or semi-finished products. Hence the name factory cost or conversion cost. Does that make sense? Or operating expenses, the same name, right? That's why I always give you all the names. Please, are you comfortable with throughput now? So it's an accounting system. Yes, that's why we call it throughput accounting. Now, most people have even converted full-time throughput. Please, is everyone?
Okay, sir. My second question. Since throughput is used for maximizing profits, when it comes to not-for-profit organization, can you apply throughput there, or they have a different measure?
They mostly use value for money. And value for money, the metrics for measurement of performance. You know, throughput, we can't apply throughput directly in profit, not-for-profit organizations. Why? Because they have different objectives, right? Maybe maximize output, not throughput. Maximize welfare of their members. They have multiple objectives too. So it's difficult to use a profit-related metric to measure their performance. We'll come there. We'll come and look at not-for-profit organizations and even public sector entities. Look at how to calculate value for money, efficiency, economy, effectiveness. We'll do proper calculations. I know some of you haven't seen calculations around that area before. We'll calculate ratios for the public sector too. Okay, so don't worry. I got you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. But I believe whatever we've done so far is clear. I'm taking questions.
Okay. Sir, please. Sir, I'm not done with the pictures. Forgive me.
Which side?
Because my colleague. Please go up. Yes, up.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. No, go up. Yes, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me take this one. Okay, you can go down, sir. Okay. I'm done.
All right. Okay, so let's look at happy now. So look, how many marks do we have? Identify the bottleneck process and explain why it is called as a bottleneck. 4. Calculate the throughput accounting ratio for the 3 products and rank the products. 10 marks. Produce the optimal production plan and maximum possible profit. 6 marks. So here, you see the question specifically requested for the throughput accounting ratio approach. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
So some questions will directly request for the throughput accounting ratio. It means that when you use the other process, you will not get the full mark, because throughput accounting ratio is the same process. Because at the end of the day, all you need to do is get your total factory cost and divide by the number of hours available, right? For the bottleneck, then all you have to do is just use it to divide each product. That's all. So now they are telling us that machine capacity is limited to what? 1,006 for each machine. That means there are 3 machines, right? I can use my eye to tell the machine 2 is the bottleneck. Do you know why? Let's see. If we
Say
have
how?
just 3 machines, let's see. Look at machine 1. It uses 6 hours per unit. Then comes here, uses 2 hours. Then comes here, use 1 hour. If you add all, how many hours do they use for this machine?
9.
9 hours. Let's go to machine 2. After producing from machine 1, it goes to machine 2. Machine 2 use 9 hours. Come and use 3 hours and use 1.5 hours. That gives us what?
13.5.
13.5.
13.5 hours. Then the product will now move to machine 3, which uses 3 hours. Comes to use 1 hour, use 0.5 hours. How many hours?
4.5.
4.5. So which one is slowing down the whole process?
Machine 2.
Machine 2, because machine 2 takes a long time to produce. And that means if the customer is waiting, right? If we divide this by 200, how many hours do we have available? Divide this by 200.
Please come again.
Divide this 1,006 by 200.
8.
So that will be 8.
1,006 by 200 is 8.
Yes, sir.
So it means that we only have 8 hours per unit, right? Let's check. We have 8
Yes, sir.
hours per unit available. Okay. That means that the customer wants the product in 8 hours. But look at our machines. Machine 1 alone is using 9 hours. So it means that before it can go to machine 2, I get 9 hours is already gone, which the customer would have left to another supplier. True or false?
True.
True.
Machine 2 alone is using 13.5 hours. It's only 3 which is lower, which can produce in the 8 hours. It means that
Sir.
overall, these machines, when we add how much they are producing overall, it's more than what the customer wants. Meboa.
Yes, sir.
9 plus 13.5 plus 4.5. It means that we need 27 hours for something that the customer needs 8 hours for. The customer will leave.
So that's 27.
Yes, the customer will leave, right? So how can we make sure that we produce within that 27
Sir.
hours of 8 hours available? Yeah, I'm open. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you.
Sir, so my question is from this simple analogy that you did, that means, does it mean that when we actually do it and we rank it, machine 3 will be the fastest or the most efficient?
No. We
And
are
then
with products. The machine hours are just the limiting factors. It's just a coincidence that all of them are machines. It's like the way we saw a question where we had OPD, then we had the vitals, right? Then we had the doctor. Do you remember
Yes,
that question?
consulting.
It's like you are testing
Yes, sir.
which one is slowing down the whole process. It's like you are testing the bottleneck, right? So let's see. Here you are saying that the product goes through machine 1, comes through machine 2, and goes through machine 3. Which one is slowing down? This guy uses what? 9 hours, right? This guy uses 13.5 hours. This guy uses 4.5 hours. Which one slows down the whole process?
Say 2.
Machine
In
2,
two.
This
13
one,
hours.
because that means that this becomes the bottleneck resource, right? Or the limiting factor. Does that make sense? So if you have OPD taking 50 patients, they go to vitals, we can only take care of 20 patients, and the doctor can only look at 5 patients. Which one is slowing down? Which one is slowing down the process?
Say vital.
No, which one is slowing down the whole process? It's the doctor.
Okay, sir.
Because even if I look at the 50 people, only 20 can filter and come here. Now 20 now, only 5 can go here. Then what's the use of looking after all these people? That means all of us will now be limited to 5. 5. Because throughput, no slack. We don't keep any unused variable just in time. So we cannot have any unused patients or patients who have not been taken care of just in time, remember. So we don't keep slack. Does that make sense? So it means that every patient, if every patient that will come needs to see the doctor, and the doctor can only see 5 patients, that means it doesn't matter how many we can treat here. Everything must be limited to 5. True or false? True or false? Yes, because we can't
True.
have 3 patients on
True.
So it means that this 5 will limit all the other process, making this 5 the limiting factor or the bottleneck. Does that make sense? If you don't understand the theory of constraints,
Sir, so if there is,
it becomes a problem.
sir,
I'm listening.
sir, so in the case of the first example, that's the machine 1, 2, and 3. Should there be a follow-up question which says that suggest ways of improving the efficiency of the bottleneck resource without
Of course,
maybe
if you go and watch our previous video, you see we learned how to reduce the throughput or to reduce the bottleneck resource. How do you do this? I get it. But since these are machines, it's an internal thing. We cannot do anything to boost machine hours. It's the machine itself. Maybe it should be replaced, or they should change the parts. Or am I making sense? Because here there's nothing, it's not like it was because of labor or something, or machine, it's because of the machine's operating capacity. Or do you all agree? Don't you agree? So if the machine is not performing well, how can we boost this? We can try and find ways and means to either replace some parts or try and, you get what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense? So this is where they want you to mostly comment. Hello? Did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So the network, I don't know.
The network is quite somewhere.
So the next thing is to identify the bottleneck resource, right? Okay, so, but can you hear me now?
Yes, I think it's better.
Sir.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so let's test machine 1. So testing machine 1, okay. Let's test machine number 1, right? So here, I'm just giving you another question where you don't have to do just one testing like the simple one we saw. So let's test machine 1. What is the available machine hours? They said how many hours are available for each machine?
1,600.
1,600. Okay. Now, let's check the machine hours needed for production. Yes.
Right.
So for product X,
Yes.
how many machine 1 hours do we
6.
need? We need 6 hours. But how many units are we producing? How many units are we producing?
200.
We're producing 200.
200.
That's 1,000, right? Okay.
1,200.
Why? We need 2 hours, right? And we are producing 200
2
units.
hours.
That's
Yes.
400 hours.
Yes.
400.
We are
Yeah.
producing, we need 1 hour, right? But we are producing 200 units still.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
200. Okay, overall, how many do we have? That's about 1,008, no soon.
1,008.
Okay.
1,008,
Yeah.
yes.
We need 1,008, but we have only 1,006. Is there a shortage?
Honestly,
Yes,
I'm
a
not
shortage of
still
200.
there. I don't say that I know what from what you say. I'm on the baby.
Right.
Right.
Oh, so then what do you say?
A
I'm an
shortage of 200.
Please,
I-
we'll be putting it on YouTube. It's not for
20%.
and I wasn't.
I'm
What
using
you can
What do you think? I
Okay,
go.
so
my bread. No be the tree me wakra. And I'm different.
Please, can
Eh,
you
I make one couple of my headlights come on. Try who see any say, hey,
No, it will be uploaded on YouTube. So some of these background noises is unprofessional. So you all know. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I'm coming. Okay. Please, are we okay? So, can you all hear me? There was a shortage, right? So, as there was a shortage, it doesn't mean that is the limiting factor.
Yes, sir.
So we couldn't hear you.
I said, just because there's a shortage doesn't mean that is the limiting factor. I hope you can see my screen and you all understood how we got it. So what do we test now? Which one are we testing?
Machine.
Can you hear me now? So testing machine 2. Let's see. What's the available machine hours? So I know you can hear me. What's the available machine hours?
1,600.
All the machines have 1,600 hours each, right? Okay, how much
Yes.
is needed for production?
For product X, we require nine machine hours.
So for product X, we need 9 hours. Okay. How many units are we producing? 200, right?
200.
200.
That'll be 1,800.
Okay. For product Y, we need
3.
3 hours. We are producing 200
By 2.
units, right? 6
Yes.
For product Z, 1 hour, 1.5
1.5.
by 200.
300.
To put it together, how much do we need?
2,700.
Okay. We need 2,700 hours to produce, but we only have 1,006. Is that a shortage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shortage of 1,100.
Yes.
1,100 hours. Okay. You see, this one is more than the 200. So let's test again. So testing what? Machine
Product 3.
number 3. This background. I don't know why when people want to receive calls or something, they can't just mute, or they don't know. They don't check their mics. Seriously.
Yeah, I suggest you
Say,
mute everyone.
say,
If they want
say
to
yes,
talk,
just
then we
mute
just, yeah.
everyone.
I'm requesting for feedback from is what's causing the problem, and they forget.
Say, so please kindly mute everyone. I think it's fine. If you want responses from us, you can unmute us.
I mute everyone, but because of my network instability, I want frequent responses. Do you get it? And yes, sir, if the network drops, I wouldn't know whether you can hear me or you cannot hear me. Do you get it? That's why I keep the mics on, so that if I ask, it's not now that I have to go and unmute everyone. You get it? It can take time. Just discipline yourself. You know you are in class. All right. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
So
Yes,
in
we
that
can
case,
hear you, sir.
what's the available machine hours?
1,600.
1,600.
All the machines have 1,006 hours. How much do we need for production? Needed for production?
Product X required 3 hours.
So product X, we need 3 hours. We are producing 200 as well, right? Product Y,
Yes, sir.
we need 1.
1.
So this
200.
will still give us 600, right? So give us
Yes.
200. Product Z, 200 an hour. That'll give us 100.
0.5.
So this will give us what?
100.
900.
900.
9.
So we need 900 hours, but we have 1,006. So what is
So
that?
excess of
The
Surplus.
surplus, right?
excess of
A slack
yes.
variable, right? The slack variable is unused hours of how much? Is this 700 hours?
700.
Okay.
Yes.
So using the information available, we know that machine 1 ended up needing what? Machine 1 needed what? 1,000, it needed 1,008. Available was what? 1,006.
1,006.
So there was a shortage of how much? 200.
200.
Machine number 2 needed 2,700. We had 1,006.
700.
So what was the shortage?
1,100.
1,100. Machine number 3 needed
Shortage of
900.
1,100.
900, but we had 1,006 available. It means that we had what? This was a shortage. This was a shortage. This was a slack, right? Of how much?
Yes.
700.
700.
So what's our conclusion? Therefore, it implies that machine number 2 is
The bottom.
the bottleneck. So you remember I told you that most questions you will have to work for it, and you see that we are working for it. But I think this working has opened your eye, right?
Say we understand it. Yes, sir.
So my question is both machine 1 and 2 both have a shortage. So why are you saying that machine number 2
So it's like you are not getting it.
is a bottleneck? Because both are above.
No, it's not the short. The one slowing down the whole process. Let's come to look at this. We are in a juice manufacturing entity, right? We manufacture juice. Okay, I'm just using that idea. We manufacture juice. Can you hear me? Please be giving me responses. It's telling me my network is not stable. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
No, I
Yes,
can,
sir.
I can hear you.
Assuming we are manufacturing juice, and we manufacturing juice,
Okay.
we don't keep stock. Listen, we don't keep stock. It means that everything we buy, we produce. Now look at this. There are people who cut the fruits, the cutting department, that cuts fruit. This department can cut 1,000 fruits per day. Are you listening? Then they will send it to the
Yes, I'm listening.
The juicing department. The juicing department can also juice only 500 fruits per day, right? Then finally comes to the finishing and packaging, right? The finishing department can only finish 100 fruits per day. Now, can you tell me this? You see something here. Is there not a shortage here and also a shortage here from the 1,000? They both have a shortage. So why are we not saying that all of them are bottlenecks? No, listen. Because we don't keep stock or we don't reserve any hours available, it means that once this guy is the last stage and this guy can take 100, it means that even if this guy, we do 500, when we bring all the 500 here, can this guy do the 500?
No.
So all the 400 will be waste, true or false? And we don't allow wastage in throughput. It's just in time. So it means that this 100 will end up limiting all of them. It will now limit this to 100 and will also limit the cutting to 100. It means that though cutting have an extra capacity of 900 units, they cannot do anything. Because even if they produce that 900, only 500 can be done. And only 100 can be done. So that means that out of that 900, only 100 can be juiced. So why should we produce? Because no stock. We don't keep stock. Does that make sense? So though there's a shortage here of 200, the whole thing is that it's a process. You get it? And we do not keep any spare hours available. So far as this one has a lot of shortage, it means that it will end up slowing all of them. Though this one has a shortage, this one will slow down all the process.
Okay, sir.
The one who answered the question, do you understand? So look at more,
Yes, I'm okay.
which has more shortage. Okay, so there can be 5 shortages, but which one has a more shortage than the others?
I'm okay,
You
sir.
ask the question so that you understand it well. Makes sense?
Sir.
Yes, boss.
Okay, so the follow-up question to his own is that what if in this the previous analysis that we did, we had machine 1 had a shortage of 200 and machine 2 was 1,100. So automatically machine 2 is the bottleneck. What if machine 1's also bottleneck was probably 1,001?
If they have the same bottleneck, then we use linear programming. In your syllabus, you don't do linear programming. Okay. When there are 2 bottlenecks, we use linear programming. Don't worry about it. Nobody will give you 2 bottlenecks at the same time. If they do so, you have to use simultaneous equations to get it. Don't worry about that. Nobody's going to give you that. Do you get it?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay.
But then they can give you 2 bottlenecks and then they'll tell you using A as the bottleneck and using B as the bottleneck. You work it. So it will be 2 different solutions. Do you get it?
Okay.
So assuming both of them were bottlenecks with 1,001, 1,001, they'll tell you that A, use machine M2, machine 2 as the bottleneck and use it to solve the whole question. And use machine 1 as the bottleneck and use it to solve the whole question. Do you understand? So
yes, sir.
When it comes, but when there are 2 or more bottlenecks, we use linear programming. Okay, which your syllabus now does not have it. Your old syllabus before the 2019 syllabus, that old syllabus before that one, the 2015 syllabus, right? That one had linear programming inside management accounting. So that one you could have 2 limiting factors. When it was cost and management accounting, but now it's just management accounting. They've taken so many topics out, which means that you have a chance of passing easily because now you guys don't do costing proper. Before management accounting, you do process costing, batch costing, service costing, job costing. You do this thing for cost accounting, the accounting side where you prepare T accounts and the costing, cost control accounts. It was not easy. And you do joint products. Now they've shifted that to level 1. You guys, you should be fine. All right. So now what is the next step? Now that we've identified the bottleneck, what's the next step?
So we find a throughput contribution.
A throughput return of contribution, right? Okay. So we need our throughput what? Contribution per unit, right? All right. So we had three products, X, Y, and Z. All right. So what then do we get? So
The
selling price. So throughput is selling price minus what? Material cost only. Do you remember?
Sure.
Remember. So 20 against 15 against
15, 10.
And with less material, right? Do we have material cost? Yes, we do.
8, 5,
8,
4.
5,
4.
This guy gives us 6 CDs per unit. This guy gives us 10 CDs per unit. This guy gives us 12 CDs per unit. So which one is the more profitable one? Which is more profitable?
Say Y. Say X.
We cannot tell. Why? Because we have to make sure they are all at the same number of hours. Because this one, when we are looking at the bottleneck, right? The bottleneck is machine 2 hours. And when we are saying that this 12 CD came out of what? This 12 CDs uses 9 hours. This 10 CDs uses 3 hours. And this 6 CDs uses 1.5 what? Hours. So if you say this one is the most profitable, you are not being fair. Because this one 9 hours, 9 hours, 12. Now we are 3 hours, 10. We are 1.5 hours, 6. Why not yeah, dear? Who did well? Assuming this was a competition, people are weeding a field. This guy used 9 hours to weed 12 fields. This one used only 3 hours. He wet 10 fields. That is, this guy has been efficient. You can see this guy used 1.5 hours and wet 6 fields. You get it? So to be fair, you have to convert all of them to the same base, which is our contribution per what? Per bottleneck, right? Which is per machine 2. Per machine. I like to bring the name of the bottleneck. Contribution per machine 2 hours, right? So in that case, if I take product X, the contribution per machine 2 hours will be what? 12 CDs divided by 9 hours, right? And that gives us what?
1.133.
1.33 per machine hour, right? Okay. Let's go to product Y. If for only 1 hour, it will be what? 10 CDs over 3 hours. And that gives us
3.3.
how much?
3.33.
3.33 per hour. Okay. Then we come to product Z, which was what? 6 CDs per hour over what? 1.5 hours, right?
That'll be 4.
That will be what? 4 per hour. Okay.
4 hours.
Now, it means that if we are now looking at it, we can easily tell which of these products are profitable. And which of these products are actually profitable.
Product Z.
So that's
Product Z.
Z is profitable, right? So from here, you can rank and move. But they didn't want that style. They want us to get our throughput accounting ratio. Do you remember? And throughput accounting ratio, we said our throughput accounting ratio will be giving us what? Our contribution per what? Per
units
machine 2 hours, right? Contribution per machine 2 hours over our what? Our total factory cost per machine 2 hours. I've replaced the bottleneck with the actual bottleneck. Since I know the bottleneck, I put there contribution per machine 2 hours over total factory cost per machine 2 hours. Makes sense now. Now, which variable do we have? We have this one, right? Don't we?
Yes.
We have the contribution per machine 2 hours, right? We only need a total factory cost per machine 2 hours. So what's the total factory cost? Let's go and calculate it. Total factory cost. All right. Total factory cost. So total factory cost, we have direct labor. Let's first get direct labor. So direct labor. So let's see. All right. For product X, we needed what? Direct labor was 5, right?
5.
5,
We
yes.
are producing 200 units. 5, 2. That's
Yes.
that, right? Okay. Product Y, 3. We are producing 200 units. 3, 2. That's 600.
Yes.
Product Z, producing 2. We are producing 200 units. That's what? 400.
2 units.
So that will be 2,000. Not so. Okay.
400.
Okay. Now, overheads, they didn't specify whether it was fixed or variable, right? So we can assume. Me, when I see overheads, I assume the fixed nature of it. So you can assume I will use the budget directly, right? Okay, so total factory cost, overheads, we have what? X having what? 2. We are producing 200, right? 2 by 200,
2,
100. 1
4,
200, 200, right? Then Z,
200.
1 by 200 again,
200.
200. It means that this guy will have what? 800, right? Okay. So now what's our total factory cost?
2,800.
Okay. So these are total operating expenses, right? Or total conversion cost or total factory cost, the same name, right? Don't forget. Okay. So now that we have that, we can get our factory cost per bottleneck, right? So our factory cost per machine
Yes.
2 hours. So how many machine 2 hours are available? All the machines have how many?
1,006.
1,006. So this is 2,800 divided by the total machine hours available, which is 1,600 machine hours for each machine, right? Okay. So in that case, what's our factoring cost per machine hour?
1.75.
So this is 1.75 per machine hour, right? So now that we have this, straightforward, right? Okay, so let's get our T-par. So throughput accounting ratio. So I will do product A, product B, right? Okay, so product A. Oh, why am I doing A and B? I'm still in the old question. Forgive me. So we have X, we have Y, and we have Z, right? Okay. So first of all, we need what? We need contribution per what? Machine 2 hours, right? Okay. This one was 1.33. This one was 3.33. And this one was 4, right?
4.
Now we divide this by what? We divide this by what?
1.75.
1.75.
By the factory costs per machine 2 hour, right? So you see now it makes sense. This one was 1.75 since it's fixed to be fixed throughout, right? Be fixed throughout. So divide. I hope it makes sense. So what's our throughput accounting ratio? For each?
Machine X 0.76.
You said it's 0.76.
76.
And machine Y?
1.0. 1.90.
1.90. Then Z?
2.29.
2.29.
2.29.
Okay, so now that we have this, what's my comment? We know that if T-par is greater than 1, the product is profitable. True or false? That's what we learned.
Sure.
That
Yes,
means
sir.
this guy is loss making. This guy is profitable. This guy is also profitable, right? You remember? Okay. So let's look at the ranking.
Yeah.
Let's rank. First,
Z.
Z. Y.
Z, right? Okay. Okay, so now we've ranked this. Do you get that? Okay, now that we've ranked this, what's the next step? Our profit maximizing output or
So the
our
optimum
optimum production, what? Optimum production.
plan.
Okay. So what's the available? Everything is based on machine 2. You know that. What's the available machine 2 hours? Because everything is the bottleneck. What's the available machine 2 hours? 1,006, right? 1,006 hours. Then we take our product, we take our rank, then we take what? Our utilization or usage, right? Remember? All right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to product, which one was first in ranking? Product Z,
Z.
right? It was first in ranking. How many units were we expecting to use? So for product Z, we were expecting to use how many hours?
200.
No, how many hours?
1.5.
We are expecting to use
1.5.
1.5 hours per machine 2, right? We are working only on machine 2. But we were expecting to produce 200 hours, right? And that will give us how much?
300.
Can we use all the 300 hours out of here? Yes, we can.
Yes, you can.
Remaining how much?
Remaining
1,300
1,300.
hours. Okay.
1,000.
Which one was the next in ranking? Product Y. Second, right?
Why?
We were expecting to use what?
Yes.
3 hours, right? 3 hours.
900.
We are
3 hours.
200, right? Can we use all? Yes, we can. 600 hours. Can we use all
Yes.
from here?
600.
If you multiply, what do we get?
600. 600. When you subtract, you get 700.
Okay, so we have 700 hours available, right? Remaining. Okay. So we can use this. Okay, we have 700 remaining. That means we can only use 700 hours to produce what? Z. Remember, A. I said A, X, right?
Yes.
Okay, this one was the third, which is loss making. So if we have only 700 hours available, then we can use it to produce what? How many units? So we can just take the 700. By now you've seen the star, right? Take the 700 and just divide by the hours per unit. And the hours was what? 9 hours. Not so. Not so. 700
Yes. So it's
hours per 9
77.
hours. That means we can produce
It's
only
77.7.
Okay, so only 77 units can be produced.
So can
Yes, you
so
can.
can I approximate to
Usually approximately
78?
they will not mark you wrong, but it's work in progress. You can't have half a unit. It's work in progress.
Last year.
It's just an estimate, so you can round
So
up.
we should stick to
77, 78. No big deal.
Okay.
All right.
No good. Okay.
I hope you are getting the principles. Solve the same question and you'll be fine. This question is very difficult. No one will give you this one. Have you noticed it's difficult or because you understand it's simple, eh?
So it's not difficult.
All right.
So can you go up? Can you go down a little bit for me? Just a second.
It's just a lot.
Okay. No, starting from optimization production plan.
Okay.
I'm okay with this one.
All right.
Okay.
So the next thing is what? After optimal production plan, what's the next thing? So let's list. What's our profit? What's our profit maximizing output? For product X.
So that's 200 units of product.
Product X, we can only produce 77 units, right? Product Y, we can produce all the 200 units, right? Product Z, we can produce all the 200 units, okay? So this guy, it means that we have what? Unproduced units of how much? How many units?
133.
So 133 units. If we get a nice supplier who can give us a cheap price, maybe we can consider. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Yes, if the cost will be less than.
I like how you guys are listening to me. If you keep this pace, you may even take award. Is that okay? All right. Not truth at the talk. All right. So yes, boss.
So we are subtracting the 200 from the 77 to arrive at the 133. Am I correct?
Yes. The thing is, you were supposed to produce 200 Meboa of this.
That should be 123.
123 rather. All right.
Yeah.
But it's understood. It's the understanding I need. Teddy, are you okay?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right. So now we know that 123. What's the condition? If somebody wants to supply us, what do we do? If an external supplier,
we'll compare the cost of getting from my external supplier against the cost of production.
to see if there's a saving. If there's a saving, you take it up. If not, you let it be, right? That means, can it generate you an extra contribution? Anytime you want to take any decision in management accounting, any decision, whether it's a shutdown decision, and make a special outsourcing, whatever, check whether it brings an extra contribution. The rule is, does it bring an extra contribution? If it does, then fine. If not, then why am I not doing, why am I taking it up? Because it can't bring me anything. Makes sense. All right. So maximum possible profit. Straightforward, right? Maximum possible profit. Maximum possible profit. What do we need? Throughput contribution, right?
Yes. Minus fixed cost.
Minus factory cost. Okay. So throughput contribution for product X, we can work per unit or per hour. I usually prefer the hours, right? Because we are working in hours. So I prefer to get it in hours. So what's the throughput contribution per hour? This guy was 1.33 per hour. Do you guys remember? So times the number of hours. We could only use how many hours for product X? Check your schedule. Only 700 hours, right? So multiply by 700 hours. For product Y, it was 3.33 per hour. But we could use how many hours? Check your schedule. 600 hours.
600.
Okay. For product Z, it was 4 per hour, right? But we could use how many hours? So product Z, 300 hours.
300.
All right. So if we multiply, what do we get? 1.33 by 700. This guy gives us 931.
931.
We get 199.
1992.
Was supposed to be 2000. And this 1002, right?
And then 1002, yeah.
Okay, 1 plus 1998 plus 12. That gives us 4129. Okay, 4129 as our total contribution. Now we less what? Less our factory what? Factory cost. And we've already worked for it because of the throughput accounting ratio. Do you guys remember? So we just go and pick. Factory cost was 28. Remember? Then we go and pick our 2,800. Do we have a profit or loss?
There'll be profit.
So maximum possible profit. Boom. 4129 minus 2,800. That's
1329.
Wow. It was a nice exercise. I like it. All right.
I like it too.
Any question?
Sir,
Yes, boss.
sir, please, I'm still lost on this last
You're still lost on what?
part. How were we picking?
How? I don't get you. How what?
Please say, how did we get the 700, 600, and the 300 hours?
Everything is from your schedule. See, available hours.
Okay.
1,006. You use 300 hours to produce 200 units. You use 600
Yes, of
to produce 200 units. 600 hours to produce 200 units and 700 hours to produce 77 units. So you can go per unit or per hour. And we decided to go per hour. So check. 1.33 per machine hour times how many machine hours were used to produce? 300, right? X 700, so by 700. 600 by 600. 300 by 300. Can you see? Is it okay?
Okay, so that's from the production schedule.
Yes, always we multiply by the production. That's why we say profit maximize. Profit maximizing output. With it, these are profit maximizing hours. So if it is not the output, then it's the hours. I'm teaching you all the two approaches because some questions will limit you to only use the hours, mostly. If you wanted to go per unit, then just take the contribution per unit we had at the top here, which was what? What is the contribution? 12, 10, and 6, right? And now multiply the 12 by the unit for X, which was 77. What will you get? 12 by the 77, what will you get? 12 by the 77 units. You get 924, right? Then 10 by the 200, you get 2000, right? Then 6 by what? The 200, you get 1002. So 1002 plus the other one was what? 924 plus 12 by the 77. That's how much. You still get the same thing, right? Just like to be short by 3 because of the rounding offs. You get it?
2324.
Yes. So the same thing. You get it? Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So whether you are going per unit or you are going per hour, it all depends on which one you want to use. Now, this is a very key topic in your syllabus. Don't joke with it. Almost every day, question will come. Either in the form of limited factor.
Question.
Yes, please.
Sir, so if you wanted to use the units, then it would have still been the contribution per unit times the units produced.
Per the schedule. Everything is from the optimum schedule. That's why we produce it. Not the units given in the question, the units in the schedule.
Okay. So that would have been 200, 277.
Yes.
Okay. But you are still multiplying by the contribution, not the price.
Yes, it's contribution because we are looking for contribution minus. Some people start with selling price, less direct labor. It's a long process. Contribution is, remember, is fixed per unit. So you just take contribution less fixed cost. You are gone.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Please, I hope the video will be made available.
Yes, all the time. Your videos are made available. You can
All right,
also
sir.
check the YouTube channel. There's a playlist called Management Accounting. It has all the management accounting videos. In case you want to learn ahead. Variances, CVP, they are all there. So
Budget. Okay, sir.
yeah, budgeting, I
Thank
only
you.
the part 1. So after this, the next topic is budgeting. Okay, so from here, budgeting is what we look at. All right, so we have to look at shadow price. What is a shadow price? The shadow price, they like asking you questions. The students still do not get shadow price. Shadow price is the extra contribution, okay? The extra contribution generated as a result of introducing an additional unit of limiting factor. And usually it can be a little frustrating for students to do the long approach and they'll still arrive at the same figure. So the very first question we used then, the limiting factor approach that we used, assuming we decided to just add 1 machine hour or 1 hour of machine, if it was this question, assuming we added 1 machine hour to machine 2 hours, then what would change? Do you get the idea? That is what it means. What would change? It means that your production schedule, assuming the available machine hours now became, let's see something. Assuming that available machine hours now became 1,601. How would it change this schedule? The extra contribution that will be generated as a result of that 1 that I've added to the available machine hours. Are you getting? If it generates a contribution, that is the shadow price. You want to try and see? Let's see. Let's see if we can use this to get the shadow price. So now our available machine hours will be what? Available machine 2 hours will be what now?
1,601.
1,601.
Yes, because we've introduced what? Just an additional unit of limiting factor. Let's see how it will change the schedule. So in that case, for product Z, we are expecting to use what? It was the first in ranking. We are expecting to use what?
Yes.
Product Z.
So it was 1.5.
1.5 hours by the 200 units, right? We can use all.
200.
We use all the 300, yes,
Yes.
we can. So we'll be left with 1,301, right? Remaining, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we come to product number Y, which was second in rank.
Why?
We're supposed to use what?
Second in ranking.
By 200. That was 600.
3
Can we
hours.
take it out? Yes, we can,
By
right?
By 200.
Okay.
600.
600.
We take it out.
Yes.
How much remaining?
So we'll be left with
701.
701.
You get 701, right? Okay. So 701.
Yes,
701, right? Okay. So we can only use 701 product what? For product X, which was third in ranking, right? Okay. So how many units can 701?
Yes, sir.
701 over
Over 9.
9, right? Over 9 hours. Give me the exact decimal.
Yes.
What do you get?
7.89.
No, it should be more than
77.9.
77 point.
8888889.
So that's
Okay, so you get 77.89, right? Okay, let's just add
Yeah.
the 77.89. Now, in the other one, we have 700 divided by what? 9, right? And that was how much?
77.
0.77, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just assume this is what we have. Okay, so let's see something. Assuming we are calculating our contribution again, what's our contribution now? Assuming now we are supposed to calculate our contribution again based on this. So what's our total contribution now? So for product X, our contribution is now going to be what? 701 hours times 1.33. Do you remember?
Yeah.
For Y, we are going to have what?
600 hours.
600 hours by 3.33, right? And then Z,
Yes, sir.
we are going to have
300 hours.
300 hours by
4.
4. So that gives us what? 701 by 1.33.
So that's 932.33.
932.33. Okay. Then 600 by 3.33 will give us what?
So that's 1998.
1998. 300 by 4.
1,200.
Right? Okay. So if we put it together, what do we get? 932.33 plus 1998 plus 1,002.
So 4130.
4130.33, right? Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
what's the previous contribution? The original contribution that we had was 4129, right? Okay, if we subtract it,
yes, sir.
What's the extra contribution that has been generated?
So that's 1.33.
1.33.
Okay. Now we had 1.33, right? And we are saying that this is the shadow price. Hey, I had you. Who's I had you? But you can see something. The
Say
shadow
yes.
price is just simply the bottleneck.
Yes, sir, the bottleneck contribution.
The contribution per bottleneck for the limiting resource. That is the shadow price. So why go through this long process just to come and get the same 1.3? When you can just pick the contribution per limiting factor as your shadow price. Today I've taught you a lot of tricks, eh? Yeah. All right.
Ah.
Okay.
Oh, say you should have met you early. Oh,
Don't worry, this is your time. You'll be fine. So a lot of students would have started available machine 2 hours. But when it's the same thing. You get a shadow. All right. I believe it was a wonderful session.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm giving you an assignment. Okay. I beg you. Now, this is what I want you to do. You see, that document, I'll share it again. Okay. So first of all, the questions we have solved, okay, practice them again. Okay, until you become second nature. Practice them again. Then 2 is that you have this whole week, including Sunday. Sunday, I'm not meeting you. You are supposed to complete the models of evaluation, right? The models of evaluation document that I've given you. Okay. And then 3rd, you are going to watch budgeting. Budgeting, I'll share the videos. Budgeting 1, budgeting 2, and budgeting 3. It's all theory. Okay. So this is the assignment I've given you. So you have from today till Sunday, you must complete it, because when I meet you again for budgeting, we are going to take theory questions and your response will tell me whether you actually watch the videos. Is that okay? So, of course, activity-based learning, assignment. So we need a course rep. We need to nominate a course rep, because management accounting, you will start discussions, and discussions you will look for a day. If there's no day available, because some of you are doing other courses, then it should be at dawn from 4 to 6. Or if some people go to work early, you can leave because the video will be made available. Okay, so you guys decide, choose a course rep. You start discussions effectively next week. All discussions are starting from next week. So I beg you, to be made possible, we all learn together, right? Or you want all the diets that limiting factor came, I can provide it for you.
say yes, so that we go through them.
First, master the one I've taught you. If you get this one first, I'll share the diet with you. Do this ones, right? I'm giving you assignment. I'll be taking them. I beg you. I'll check you. That'll tell me. So have you written the assignment?
So which assignment?
It's in front of you. Practice these questions again. Recomplete models of evaluation, the note. I'll resend it on the page. Complete the models of evaluation. Then YouTube, on my YouTube channel, you are supposed to watch budgeting 1, budgeting 2, budgeting 3. Okay. Do you get it? So I'll send you budgeting 1 is there. I'll send you budgeting 2 and budgeting 3. Okay. But this document, don't joke with it. I told you 41 marks is coming solid. 41 marks. I've told you. So don't joke with that document that I'm sharing with you. Is that okay?
I'll print it.
So even if you have to open your head and put that document inside, please do. I beg you. Right. All right. May the Lord be with you.
Please, say please, the dawn class, when
Sir,
do
please,
you
can
want
you
it?
screw up so that I can take screenshot?
Of what? Shadow price?
Yeah, the shadow price.
Only the definition, right?
But
No, I've
sir,
got in the calculation side.
Why? Why do you need the calculation? I believe it's only the definition that you need.
I had the definition already.
Okay.
sir, it's a request. I'm asking something.
Yeah.
Is it not possible that you can save your screen and share with us? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, that can be done, but you let him just take his screenshot, right?
Okay, sir,
I have a lot of things I'm doing. It may escape me.
now down rather. Down.
It may escape me, so.
Okay.
And then the assignment too.
No, the assignment I've gotten it.
All right. Any question for me? So let me write the problems of students down so that you make sure that you do not become a victim, right? Know thy enemy. So management accounting, the problem of the student is that they don't study the theory, right? That's the first one. They don't study theory. Apart from that, what topics are the weakness of students? Variance. Variance is very easy. Students have a problem because they're always learning different methods. That is why they have a problem. 3, cash budget.
Ampo. 2.
Master budget. I've been teaching this thing for
Say, I say, you know what?
over a decade. I know what your problems are. There's no course I don't know the problem. Cash budget, master budget, right? And now the next thing is relevant costing.
Say, variance.
Relevant costing is a problem for students. Knowing which one is relevant, which one is not relevant. Then investment appraisal. When it comes to investment appraisal, it's usually easy when it comes straightforward. But when there's things like inflation, tax,
Interest rates,
and those things, there's a problem, right? Then transfer pricing. I don't know why transfer pricing is so easy, but anytime it comes, students are not able to do it. Another area which students have a big problem, okay, I forgot, functional budgets, especially when you have to do purchasing budget or production budgets. There's an issue there, I understand. Now, another area which is a big problem for students is cost behavior. They don't seem to get that contribution per unit is always constant. This thing is making people feel a lot. Okay? If you have this principle, you don't have any problem with decision making. So relevant costing and short-term decision making, they go together, right? Make or buy, those kind of things, right? So I've just given you the whole outline of what weaknesses of students are. Performance is there, but performance is literally straightforward. When it comes to ROI and RI, it's literally straightforward, except Sister Eva. Now, so So economic value added is a problem.
So last it came, yes. Couldn't
That
do
was
it.
a past question. It was a past question that I expected everybody to crack. You see, my other problem I have is that you guys always wait until something is taught in class. It's a bad approach to learning. Now that you can learn ICA in just 1 month and go and pass, it's rather difficult for students to learn. Our time materials were not there like this. Now you have so many YouTube channels teaching you. You have AI. And you are giving an excuse that learning is difficult. That's why you are not learning. No. Now that there's more available medical equipment, people are rather dying more. Is it not funny? The same way, now that there's so much materials available, you are rather not studying. Things have become very easy. There's no topic you search online that you will not see and even get better examples. So what's your excuse? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And another problem is that, no, it won't be overload if you learn mind management. It is never time management. It is mind management. Okay? So you are not overloading. If you get one good tutorial, that explains the concept well for you to understand. Do you need to watch another same one? No, there's no time. Adajin Niho, do you get it? Yes, Namdodo and saying quite, but if you have watched one video, you understand the concept, you try solving that question with the method I taught you. You don't understand, you can reach out to me, say, I tried this method, I didn't get how they got this 65. Can you help out? It tells me you are learning. Do you get it? And I'll be glad to help. Me, I'm always glad. You see the way I was flowing today, because the class was interactive. If the class is not interactive, I get bored. That's my style of teaching. The more you interact with me, the more I ease out, teach you stuff, the more I make it more flexible and more easy to understand. When people are just quiet listening to me, I don't flow. Do you get it? So write these problems areas down in your group discussions. Of all the other courses, so I'll give you the problem areas. They don't study theory. And I've given you the likely theories. And I told you that you should be expecting about 41 marks. Do you remember? So don't joke with it at all. In your group discussions, until those theories have stuck, you don't move, right? Then these are the areas. So in your groups, all you have to do is keep hitting on these areas till they become second nature. Makes sense? That's the easiest strategy for you. If you can do these things, Masa, you don't have a problem. All right. So that was a little secret to pass, Emmy. So I'll see you next week.
Sir,
Yes, boss.
please, is there a Telegram page for this management accounting?
No, everything I put
Oh.
on YouTube, the notes I put on your page, but I can upload on Telegram.
Okay, and
I have a lot of Telegram pages with a lot of videos, but I don't think you guys need Telegram.
Okay.
Okay, but I have Telegram page which has all the management accounting videos from previous nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
And clarity, these questions have already been posted on the WhatsApp page.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Please keep the questions coming. Oh. Any question? I'm listening. Because we still have 5 minutes more. I don't want to waste it. Teddy, conjure a question and ask me. I'm waiting.
Sir, please, just a request. If you could share these questions that we've done today again. I don't know. I don't have it. I don't see it in the WhatsApp page.
Oh, I have. It's just loading. When we're talking, I was
if you can indicate it in the WhatsApp group or something, because I'm not seeing it here.
Oh, I have shared though. It was just loading. I have shared. Is it seen?
Okay, I have it now.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
has come. It has come.
Saying thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We still have 5 minutes more. Now 5 minutes. You can solve a question back. And yes, she. And I'm was saying, I am pong. Media do. I like solving questions, okay?
Let's solve
And
another
I
question.
don't like questions I've solved before. Questions I've solved before. It's not interesting for me. I like questions I've not solved before. Yes, and everything is gra. A question I've not solved before. Let me see. Pray that I find the question. There are so many questions. I want one which is it has some difficulty or something. I don't know. This question, I think it came in one of the diets. Yeah. Can you see my screen? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
we have KYC, which makes 3 products: hand chew, yogurt swallow, and canned lick. All 3 products are sold as a package and so are offered for sale each month in order to be able to provide a complete market service. The products are fragile and their quality deteriorates rapidly once they are manufactured. The products are produced on 2 types of machine and work done by a single grade of direct labor. 5 direct employees are paid 8 cedis per hour. So this is what labor costs, right? For a guaranteed minimum of 160 each per month, right? Okay. All the products are first modeled on machine type 1 and then finished and sealed on machine type 2. So that means that we need to test 2 machines. What do you think? I think it's a nice question. I haven't really looked at it. Okay. So what is the first thing we need to do? We need to check which machine is the bottleneck, right? But this one, we cannot just use our eye to look at it. Do you know why? Who can tell me why I cannot use my eye to look at it and say, just like the previous question, that machine type 1 is the limiting factor, machine type 2 is the limiting factor? Do you know why? Who can tell me why? Because the units produced are not the same. You see the other question, all the units were 200, 200, 200. Do you guys remember?
Yes, yes.
But here you see it's 120, 70, and 60.
Yeah, it's
That
120, 70, and
so you
60.
cannot just use your eye because when you multiply it will change. So what's the first step?
Identify the limiting factor.
And they've even told you calculate the machine utilization rate for each machine and explain which of them is the bottleneck. So step one, identify the bottleneck, right? So testing one, testing machine one, right? Okay, let's test machine one and see. So machine one, what is the available hours?
Available
600.
Hours per month, right? We are working per month. Available hours per month was what? 600 hours, not so, okay.
600 hours.
Needed for production.
Hmm?
How much is needed for production? Okay, so machine type
120.
for product HC, we need 1.5 hours, right? And we are producing 120 units. So that's 180 watt hours, not so. Then we have YS. YS, we have 4.5 hours by we are producing 70, not so. 4.5.
70.
We need 315 hours. Then we have what? CL.
3 hours.
We need what? 3 hours. But we are producing 60 units. So 3 by 60. That gives us 180. The other one was what? 315 plus hours. Okay. So if we put it together, 180 plus 315 plus 180, 675, right? Hours. It means that there's what? There's a shortage. But I told you just because there's a shortage does not mean it is the limiting factor. Do you guys remember? You have to test all and see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
yes.
we now test what?
Machine type
2. Okay, test machine 2. What's the available hours per month?
500.
500. Okay, so let's see. How much is needed for production?
HC needs 1.
Okay.
Mm,
HC, how many hours were used? 1 hour. We are producing 120 units, right? So
120.
YS, we need what?
2.5.
2.5, but we are producing 70. That gives us
70.
175, right? Then CL.
CL.
2.
2 times 60.
120, right? So
120.
120 plus 175 plus 120. 415, right? Okay. So in that case, what do we have? Is it 85?
Yes.
Okay. Now you see. Some students immediately they get shortage. Then they say limiting factor. You have to test and see. You see, this one look big, but you see, it's even consuming less. So therefore, machine 2.
Say,
Second
that's
one
a
is
slack.
The second one is also
Oh, it's a slack rather.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. We need 415, but 500 is available. Yeah, so it's more than expected. Thank you. So it's machine 1. It's machine 1. All right. So that means it's a slack or unused variable, right?
Yes.
Of how much? 85. Okay, so therefore
85
machine 1
is the bottom.
is the bottleneck, right? Okay. Thank you. All right. This is a past question. Now, let's see. What's the next step?
Throughput
Look for the
contribution.
contribution.
Okay, so let's get our contribution. So we have HC, YS, and CL. No, so all right. So what's our selling price? 91,174 and
1,400.
So we are going to less what?
The material.
Material.
So give me the material cost.
You have the components.
Aha, see? Thank you. Some students have said when I went component, I didn't know what it is, so I didn't know how to do this question. Hey. Assemble. Material is made up of components, any other
Another
type of stock, sub assemblies, right? Anything that looks like material, component forms part of the goods, right? If you go and you even see glue, is it not material? Nail, is it not material? But students expect to always see material. Material can be broken down into a lot of things. So we have component, right? Thank you.
Yes.
What you are doing throughput is sales minus what? Only material, meboa. So component minus 20, minus 19, minus 16. Then we have other materials, right?
Yes, sir.
Other materials, we have 23, 11, 14, right? Right. That is all, I believe. Somebody's background. Who's that?
The person should mute.
So what do we get? Throughput contribution.
The first one is 46.
46. Then
the second one is 144.
144. The next one.
110.
110. Okay. Which one is more profitable? I want a nice response.
YS. Product YS.
No.
We have to look at the unit.
We have to look at the hours used because we cannot say it's profitable because this guy is using only 1.5 hours, right? To generate 46. This guy is using 4.5 hours to generate 144. And this guy is using 3 hours to generate what? 110. So it means it's not fair, right? We must get a throughput, right? We must get a throughput per what? Machine 1 hours. That is what will tell us which one is really profitable. Because the hours are not the same, we cannot say which one is actually profitable, right? So this one will give us what?
30.67.
This guy will give us 30 CDs, 0.67, 30 CDs, 67 pesos per hour. Then what about this guy?
32.
32 CDs.
Yes.
Per hour. Then what about this guy?
36.67.
36.67. Okay. So which approach are we using? Should we use throughput accounting ratio? We should just go straight, rank, and move. All of them, I told you, you can use any. Since the question did not directly ask for throughput accounting ratio, if you like, you can just rank and move. But I feel that as part of exam, just to be conversant with the throughput accounting ratio, we should be fine, right? So let's see. Let's get our TPAR. So we need factory what?
Cost.
We need factory cost per machine 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, what's the total machine 1 hours available?
600.
Okay, we have 600 machine hours available. Okay. Now the next thing is determine the total factory cost also. Now I leave that into your hands. Total factory cost, yes. So all other costs are factory costs, right? So what did we have? Direct labor cost, right?
Direct labor.
Direct labor costs. We know that they are paid what? 8 per what?
Per hour.
Per hour. But do you know how many direct labor hours were used? This thing is interesting. I like the question.
I think with HC they use 0.75.
How did you get it? We must look for the labor hours, right? So you are saying that they are telling you that the direct labor hours, okay, is 8 CD per hour. 8 CD per hour. But you need to find how many hours were used. So check. So if it's 8 CD per hour, you are saying that 8C, you are saying 8 CDs was multiplied by some number of hours, right? To arrive at what?
6.
Arrive at the 6 CDs. You guys get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
YS was also 8 CDs multiplied by some number of what? Hours to arrive at what?
48.
48.
Arrive at 48. Then CL was what? 8 CDs by what? Some number of hours to arrive at what? 36. Do you guys get it?
36.
So how do we
Yeah.
get the labor hours? That means that
We divide.
we can easily divide this what? 6 by the 8, right?
Yes. So 0.75.
That means we use 0.75 hours. This guy,
Yeah.
48 divided by 8.
6.
6 hours were used. And this guy, 36 divided by 8.
4.5.
4.5 hours were used. You see how management accounting is. So now that we've gotten the number of hours, we can get the total labor hours, right? For each of the products. What's our total labor hours? It's not really necessary. We could have gone straight. What's our total labor hours? For HC, we are using 0.75 hours, but we are producing 120 units, right? So what's our total
Yes.
labor hours?
90.
So this guy is using 90 hours, right? Okay.
90.
YS,
Yeah.
6 hours, but we are producing 70 units. So 6 by 70, 420 hours, not so.
That's 420.
Then CL, 4.5 hours, but we are producing what? 60 units, right? 4.5 by 60. That is
270.
270 hours, right? Okay. So now that we have this one, we can easily dive into it and just multiply straightforward. But it's meaning that our labor cost, right? Our direct labor cost, we can easily get it straightforward, right? Okay. So let's get our factory cost. This we could have done it straightforward by just multiplying the per unit by the number of units. We still get the same figure. I'm just showing you alternatives, right? Assuming they were asking, assuming the question gave you that labor cost, labor hours available was also, let's say, 700, right? Test and see. So you say the available was 700, but needed for production is the sum of all this. Do you get it?
Yeah.
That makes sense. And 90 plus 420 plus 270, you get 780. So we need 780, but we only have 700. It means that there's a shortage. Do you get it? So I'm just teaching you just in case. Sometimes they hide it like this so that you can find the missing limiting factor. But anyway, our factory cost straightforward. So labor cost for HC, we know that it's 8 per hour, right? 8 CDs per hour. How many hours were used? 90 hours, right?
Yes.
True or false?
True.
Then YS, 8 CDs per labor hour. How many hours were used? 420 hours. Okay. Then CL, 8 CDs per hour. How many hours were used? 270 hours, right? We calculated it.
270. Yeah.
Okay, so let's multiply and let's see. So we have 8 by 90, 720.
720.
8 by 420, 3360, right?
3360.
Then we have
21
270. 2160.
and 2160.
Add the 720 plus 360 plus 2160. Is it not 6240?
6,240.
Okay, this was not really necessary. Do you know that? What we did, I was just teaching you how to get labor hours when it's not given. But in actual sense, labor was given per unit. So in that case, the labor cost was simply just taking your what? Labor cost of 6 CDs by the 120. And what do you get? 720. Right? For
Yeah,
8.
yeah.
When it comes to wires, the labor cost was what? It was 48 CDs, right? By the 70 units we are producing. Is this still not 360?
Okay.
Then
Yes.
still, the labor cost was what? 36 CDs. You are multiplying by 60. This is the same 2160, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's literally the same thing. I just did this to teach you how to get the labor hours. So don't worry. Yeah. You get the idea?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So now what we need is what?
The cost divided by the hours available.
No, that was not all. There was overhead. Remember, factory costs.
Yeah.
So we need overhead costs. So overhead.
That is 24 by 120.
By 8C. It was 24 by 120, right? Then YS.
24 by 1.
62 by 70. No, see?
Yes.
CL. 52 by 60.
60.
So what do you get? I hope you all understand where I'm getting the figures from. So 24 per unit times 120 units.
2,880.
62 by 70 units. 440. 52 by 3120, right? So if you add it up, 2880 plus 4340 plus 3120 plus 10340 plus 6240. We have 16,580 being the total factory cost, right? Okay. Now we must divide this by the available machine 1 hours, right? So machine 1 hour is now saying 500 or 600 hours. 600 hours, no, sir. Okay.
600. Yeah.
So that gives us what? A factory cost per bottleneck, right? Factory cost per machine 1 hours. So that's 16,580 divided by 600. That is what? 27.63 pesos, right? Okay. So now we can easily get our TPA, right? Our throughput accounting ratio. Okay, you can easily get our throughput accounting ratio. Your throughput accounting ratio is equal to what? Our contribution per what? Our contribution per bottleneck, which is machine 1.
Bottleneck.
All over what? Our factory cost per bottleneck, right? Which is factory cost per machine 1 hour. Okay, now we are grouping like the machine 1 hour will cancel machine 1 hour. So when we take product A, product HC, right? The contribution per machine 1 hour was how much? We go up 30.67, right?
Yes.
So it was 30.67. Then we divide by 27.63. We come to product YS. It was what?
It's 32.
32. We divide by 27.63. Also, we come to product CL. It was what? 36.67.
I think. 36.6.
Divide by the same 27.63. I think this is good revision for the throughput accounting ratio, right? After that, we run. Okay. So what do we get?
The first one is 1.11.
Yes, profitable, right? 1.11.
Yes, profitable. 32.
1.58.
Second is, oh, sorry, 32 divided 27. The second one is 1.16.
Around 1.33.
No, I think the first one is 1.16.
1.16, first one.
No, the second one. That is YX.
It's 32 over 27.63. Yeah, it's 1.16. Yeah.
Yes, 1.16.
So if we rank, second,
this first, second, and third.
okay. So the next thing is you do your optimum production schedule, then
Yeah.
the maximum profit, then you are done. That one is for you, right? All right.
Okay, sir.
I hope it was a good exercise. So
Yes, it was good.
what is the shadow price?
The shadow price will be 1.11.
1.11. Yay.
Yeah.
Because whatever, any hour that is left to go into the production of the one we couldn't produce, true or false, which will be this one. Do you get
Yes,
it?
sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
if you want to produce any one extra hour, will go into the one we couldn't produce, which will definitely
So-
be this one.
So say in the examination, when you say the shadow price, I can just go to 1.11.
Of course,
And
you
that's
get a
it.
mark. The shadow price 1 to 2 marks per. Why would you go through that long process again? All right,
So I'll just go to 1.11. Okay.
that's it. Then you explain that for every extra what unit that will be produced, it will go into the making of this one we couldn't produce, true or false? So definitely that is the extra contribution that will be generated for every 1 unit that will be produced in this.
Yes, sir.
Now,